chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and we have a draw at Coventry to talk about. Plenty to cover from the draw, as we will do. I'll do so in the next hour or so. We'll also look ahead. Another away day as we go to another sea, but this time in Wales as Cardiff as the away day. We have the same lineup. Danny is still joining us from his holiday. Thank you for joining us, Danny.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing today?
Brilliant, mate. And Mick is with us as well. How is it going, Michael?
All good, mate. All good. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. We're going to start by mentioning the charity pounds for mentioning of a certain somebody. Mick, you've set this up. So we'll give an amnesty. Any mentions of the name in the next 2 minutes don't count towards this, but if you'd like to just explain what you've done and how they can keep track on us.
Well, somebody in the comments suggested, I can't remember who it was now, that a pound should go to the hospice every time the previous manager's name was mentioned. So we set up a Just Giving page called Don't Mention the War. And you can see, anybody that's watching on YouTube can see the address running along the bottom of the screen. So if you do mention that person's name in the comments, you will be required to submit a £1 fine to that address. All funds are obviously going to Rotherham Hospice.
Yeah, we've all counted out what we think we all owe about a £5 each. I think that's what we're all putting in to start with. Hopefully we'll put this in already, and the season's still feel like we're not really into the season yet.
So we could make a lot of money with this, by the way.
For the hospice could make a lot of money from it. Yeah,
we could lose a lot.
Yeah, for the hospice. Yeah.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, summer holidays are going to be disappearing to the hospice at this rate. So yeah, we'll keep it out as much as we can. If we say it without mentioning it, flag us, so we can try and make sure we put in the right money for obviously it's a great cause for the hospice. We have in the comments so far Dave Lawton, Paul Brock, John Inchliff, Brian Hargett, Gav Grundy, and Kim Haywood, all with us so far. Thank you very much. So let's move ahead. Move ahead by going backwards. Let's talk about the game on Tuesday night. 2-2 draw away at Coventry. To start with, Danny, I suppose let's put it in context that if somebody offered you 2-2 at the start of the night, you'd have taken it, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd have took it. I even said this to Reece and Jordan as we left the ground. If you'd have said 2-2 when we got there, I'd have took it. I think it's just the manner in which we drew 2-2, which was a little bit gut-wrenching and heartbreaking with that last-minute penalty. Jury's out on whether it was a penalty or not. I'll let the comment section and probably Mick decide that one. But yeah, 2-2 at the start of the night against an informed Coventry side, and to score twice against a team that's only conceded 1 in 7. It's not bad on paper, is it? It's just when you go into the finer detail, it's like, actually, no, what Rotherham could have had that.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. We'll come on to the referee, Mick. Let's ease ourselves into the episode first before we get full ranty. But the overall performance, it was a strange game in terms of, I thought first 20 minutes or so, I thought we were excellent. But then for 20 minutes, we weren't so good. And then we ended the game with a goal from Cohen Bramwell. It was a strange, certainly first half, I thought.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we could have been 3-0 up in 5 minutes. And to be fair, perhaps should have been. But for the final ball on each occasion was just kind of inches away from where it needed to be, weren't it? So, I mean, we came out of the traps so well. As good as we've come out of traps all season, I think, to be fair. And yeah, I'll be honest, on when we hit that 20-minute mark, I was very, very disappointed we weren't in front because we certainly deserved to be. So, and like you said, they then came into the game a little bit, didn't they? And got a foothold, if you like, before we took it away from them again. So good performance overall, I thought.
Yeah. it was your fault as well. We started the play drop down.
So
Mick sent a message to our group chat saying this is an electric start. And as soon as that message came through, the performance dropped and Coventry started to take control of the game.
Yeah, my fault. Cool boy, Eric.
Should have known. You should have known, Mick. Let's go back to the starting lineup, Danny. There were obviously a few changes. Duffin gets his second start for the club. Cam Humphreys comes back in, which is something we've all been talking about. Lee Peltier kept his place, and obviously Richard Wood dropped down. And I think it's the first time we saw a start of Kelly and Washington. Well, it's obviously the first time it starts. Only Kelly's second start. So, yeah, obviously it is. How do you think all those things went, Danny? Because I thought the defence, even though we conceded 2 goals, and we'll talk about the goals in a minute, but the defensive display for me was probably better. In fact, there's no probably about it. We defended better on Tuesday night than we did against Stoke last week.
Yeah, I think certainly defensively we just worked it out a bit more, and I think Taylor got his tactics spot on for Coventry because we absolutely harassed their right-sided player to the point where he virtually had little effect on the game, and he was out-muscled by Bramwell. And I think that's when he went off with a hamstring injury because he'd just been run ragged for the first half, really. Defensively a lot stronger. Humphreys comes in, is alongside the 2 senior players and does very well. And Doffin's come in, had an all right game as well. I think Harding had an iffy game, but sort of made up for it in other areas by really putting a shift in. Just a lot more defensively sound. I think Taylor's really starting to get a grasp on how he wants us to play away from home. Like I said, first start for Kelly and Washington, I think it was in the league at least. I think they've appeared like that in pre-season. Really effective front line. I could see Georgie and Wash making an effective partnership up front, certainly until Chio comes back.
Yeah,
if you're wondering what that strange noise is, that's the RAF base that's right next to where we're staying. So that's the fighter aircraft flying over. I think we're going to Russia. I think.
I thought that was your stomach rumbling, Danny.
Nicholas Skidmore says probably one of the best attacking away performances this season for us. He thinks that. Don't tend to disagree with that. And Paul Brock says Danny and I said it at half time we would go on and win easily. In the second half, got the deserved point though, which is very true. Talk about individual performances, Mick, and this brings us on to the 2 Miller's goals. Dambala. We say this a lot, and I think we maybe mean this from Dambala. So what else can we say? What else can we possibly say about him? I mean, only one of them technically goes down as an assist, which is robbery, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But it was just sensational again, and the pass for Bramwell was pinpoint. And I think the pass to Washington was probably better.
Yeah, it was.
But again, you don't get the assist for that one. But anyway, he is becoming so important. He's becoming more and more important as the games go by to our game, which is a worry for when he leaves in January or at the end of the season.
Don't be pessimistic. You just never know, do you? You never know. I think he will leave. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think we can afford to pay him the wages that he deserves, to be perfectly honest with you, because he is absolutely outstanding. And there's very, very few teams that have a player of that nature in the team. You know what I mean? They are literally like rock and roll smoke. You can't find them, and when you do, well, we've seen what he can do. He is just outstanding. It's about his vision. It's all about the way he reads and sees the game. The passes are just the icing on the cake, really. It's being able to spot them, to pick them out. That's the key, and that's what the vast majority of footballers, midfielders across the country can't do. I would venture to suggest that pretty much any of the midfielders across the country can actually play the pass. All he's doing is booting the ball. He's just kicking the ball and putting the right amount of weight on it, but it's actually seeing it, getting into that position and seeing the runs and seeing the pass. The vision is remarkable. And he's awesome. Great player.
He's a great player. And I also like that he does the dirty stuff as well. We said this about Bucknott and Cuffy a few weeks ago, that he's very happy to go and do the dirty work. Dambala is exactly the same. And in midfield, you've got to do that, I suppose. You can't just, very often in midfield, you can't just sit and be pretty. You've got to do the dirty work. And when you play for Rotherham United, you've got to go and do the dirty work. Dan, just talk to me about Dambala, so we could talk all night about Dambala. So if you want, just what do you want to say about him?
I'll just say that he offered me a night out in Wickersley at Gillingham. But yeah, what a passer Dambala is. Those 2 assists for the 2 goals are absolutely incredible. The through ball to Bramwell. I mean, not to take anything away from Bramwell, the finish was incredible. Just that first time strike and the goal, completely wrong foot to the keeper. What a finish! But it's the ball from Dambala that makes it. Same with Connor Washington. It's the through ball that sets it up. Washington does get a little bit lucky with how the ball drops, but still finishes. And I'm pretty sure I have broken my hip in those celebrations because someone jumped into me. My body went one way, my leg stood where it was. And I haven't been able to walk properly since, so that's fun. But yeah, what else can you say about Dambala? So we know how much he can pass. We know the long balls he can spay out anywhere on the pitch, and the through balls that he can play are absolutely incredible. I think that makes him top of the assist chart, at least we rank it. Joint top. Is the second one not officially counted as this then?
I can't find anywhere classing it as an assist. It's because the keeper gets a touch.
Oh, right, okay.
Not before Washington gets a touch, though.
No, but so Bala passes it to him. Washington gets the touch. The keeper would technically intercept it, which then becomes another touch, which then is. I can't find anywhere that's classed as an assist, although I class it as an assist.
I mean, if we use the same formula that Sky class set piece goals as, it is an assist, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So it's top of the assist chart, anyway.
It should be. He should now be the leading assist maker in the Championship. It's technically on a joint, but who cares? Let's talk about his future, Mick. Obviously, there's talk about him. Us offering him a contract. I agree. I don't see how we can offer him the money that he is worth, because he's worth much more than whatever he's on now, obviously.
Yeah.
The rumoured sell-on fee for Newcastle makes it not worth selling, which makes the only logical thing realistically is to let him run his contract down. Because it's 40%. For us to get a worthwhile money, somebody would have to pay £5 million, which Nicholas Skidmore's put in the comments. But nobody's going to pay £5 million in January. They should, but they're not going to. No. So the only logical thing for us to do is keep it to the end of the season and just enjoy him, and hopefully he keeps us as high up on the table as possible.
Yeah. I think that's in reality. I think that's where we're going to be, unless somebody can pull something out of the bag and get him to sign a new deal. We're in the hands of the chairman and the recruitment staff. We just have to wait and see. But like you said, enjoy him while you can, because he won't be here forever, obviously. This may well be his last season with Millers. So just enjoy it, because you'll not see another one, I wouldn't have thought, for a few years yet.
Probably not. And if he can push us up into a place where we are sitting comfortably mid-table by end of the season, we then maybe we can approach somebody else of similar quality, or maybe later on in the career or something like that. It seems a bit.
I think that's a very good point, Matt, to be fair. And that's what makes Dambala so special, in that it's usually a player of greater experience that can play that role. Somebody who's been around the block a bit, who reads the game better just because of their experience. And that's why Dambala is special, because he's so young and he's able to do it. So, in my view, I'm not saying that's right. That's just how I kind of read it. So enjoy it while you can, and you never know. Just keep your fingers crossed that Father Christmas brings us a Dambala as a contract for Christmas.
Yeah. Paul Brock says Barlaser was like Peter Beardsley of old last night. His footballing brain and awareness was top draw. Proud to have him. Yeah, very proud to have him. John Morell says no one's going to pay anything like that for him with 6 months. No. Makes no business sense. He's nailed on to go on a free in the summer. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'd be okay with it. And if we were able to sell him in January for £2-3 million and we kept everything, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
The sell-on fee to Newcastle is what makes it a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
Which is why I think free transfer. Danny, what's your view on that, on his future, and where the sense lies in when he leaves and how he leaves?
Yeah, I have to agree with John Morell there about there's no sense in offering massive money when he's got 6 months left. He either goes on a free or we offer him a lot of money for him to stay. Hopefully it's the latter, and Taylor is able to convince Tony to really put the wages on the board for Barlaser. And if not, yeah, unfortunately, he goes for free or a much reduced cost in January. We said this before. We need to have a word with Allison to get him to stay, don't we? Because I still want that night out in Wickersley.
Yeah, we'll see. We're in October. We're sort of planning his exit. We're in October, but yeah, another special performance from Dambala. So comfortably man of the match. I think the club's full. We'd be in a much worse position without him so far. So hopefully he doesn't get injured anytime soon. Colin Bramwell, Danny, obviously went off injured around the hour mark, but caused them all sorts of problems. If he took the goal away, he was causing them all sorts of problems. And the second half in particular, before we came off, we're having all sorts of fun down left-hand side. There's question marks on his defensive work for me, but from an attacking fullback point of view, he is brilliant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've said before, he caused their right-sided player no end of trouble on that right-hand side, and I think even forced him off with a hamstring injury. Yeah, got his goal, like we said, very well taken finish, first-time strike. A lot of people said he's tried to cross it. He hasn't. He's just run onto the ball and just smacked it. Yeah, exactly. Some people said he tried to cross it. He hasn't. He's just run onto it, smacked it with his left foot, and he scored. And I'm not sure if that's definitely his first goal for Rotherham. I don't know if it's his first championship goal as well.
Unless he scored for Birmingham, which I think is unlikely. I will double check this for you while we're talking.
Oh.
I'll find out. He scored, first championship goal. He scored one for Colchester, which actually would have been League Two, and 2 for Lincoln. And this is his first one for us. Didn't score in the 5 games for Birmingham. Yeah,
but what an introduction to the championship if that's your first goal. Brilliant strike. And he's turned into a bit of a finesse merchant, anti-Cohen Bramwell, going down with cramp or a hamstring injury, getting the stretcher out, and then just standing up going, I'm just going to walk off, and then applauding the Coventry fans as he walked past. Cohen, fair play. That is absolutely fantastic. Oh, absolutely fantastic. And the absolute seething anger in the Coventry fans' faces is properly wound them up there. I think that's why they're happier with the draw than we are, because they feel like they've got some archery game where we really did try to finesse them. But that appears to be Matt Taylor's tactic with away games. Very much a snatch and grab, which might be how Wycombe fans feel all the time. Not too sure on that one. But certainly away from home, if we can snatch and grab a goal or two and hold on to the 3 points or even just a singular point, I think that's an all right tactic for us just to get moving a little bit this season. And if Cohen Dremmel's got a left foot on him like that, he could be one to bag a few more for us this season as well.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move forward. We're going to oddly move to the last goal because I think this is where the topic is. The topic is. John Morell mentioned in the comments, evening lads. I've seen a few salty comments from Coventry fans saying, "Well, we played them. When did they become so precious?" Yeah, there was a few people in the Coventry comments last night. Let's talk about the penalty though, Mick, which is where all the comments and queries came from. Penalty incident in I think we ended up in the 90th minute. The penalty was scored in. It's not a penalty. I can sort of, if you're going to push me, I can say I can sort of understand why the penalty was given. But Matt Taylor's right. Richard Wood's not changed his line, and we're talking in sort of jargon here, I suppose, a little bit. Richard Wood's continued in his straight line, in the same line, and I think it's Calmo Howe, if it's not somebody looks similar to him, it stuck his legs between Woody's, and there was contact, obviously. It's the same as the Huddersfield thing a few weeks ago. It's almost exactly the same in terms of the tangle of legs. It's the striker, for me, has initiated the contact, and it's not a penalty. Would you like to defend the referee?
Well, if you'd have been in my house when he awarded it, then you'd have probably thought no. I was expecting neighbours to come around and see if I were all right, because I was absolutely livid. I was absolutely livid when he awarded that. However, as soon as I watched the replay, it's a penalty all day long for me. All day long. Because Woody has put his foot across to try and get the ball. Very slightly, but he puts his foot across to get the ball. I tell you now, honestly, if that was at the other end, I would have been screaming for it, absolutely screaming for it. And I get what Matt Taylor's saying, and I understand how frustrated he is and everything else. But I'm not calling out the referee on that one. I'm sorry, that's just my view, and I know it's contrary to what a lot of people think. But Woody has put his foot across. Yes, the player has obviously made the most of it. But if that's at the other end, I am screaming for that. I think it's a penalty, and I think it's a bit naive of Woody to put his foot across the way he did, because he definitely, in my view, moved his right foot across. He was going for the ball, clearly going for the ball. However, penalty for me.
The attackers moved his leg into. He's almost hit Woody's left leg with the stretch of it.
I didn't see it that way. I saw it that Woody's moved his foot across, but it is what it is. Ultimately, I can absolutely see why the referee's given it 100%, because in the time that the referee's got to look at that, he can't tell that the player's moved his leg across. Woody definitely, his right leg definitely makes a movement towards the ball for me. So I understand why the ref's giving it, and sorry, but that's me.
I think it's an absolute shocker.
You were expecting that, were you? But
I wasn't expecting that, because it's a shocker for me. It was a very, very poor. For me, the attackers made all the effort in terms of trying to win the penalty.
Maybe he has, but Woody's moved his foot across. He has moved towards the ball.
The referee couldn't wait to blow for it either. He could not wait to put whistle to his mouth. It was very, very quick. Danny, join in.
I mean, that penalty didn't look like a penalty at the time. That is for sure. But watching the replays, it's sort of manoeuvred Woody's leg into like his general vicinity. He's felt the contact. He's gone down. They've been trying to get one of those all game. They had a couple of shouts in the first half where the referee waved it away. So the referee's probably gone, well, it's third time they've claimed for it, so I'm going to give it. Which would have been fine, because we've seen that happen before. But in Matt Taylor's post-match, saying that the referee was laughing at him as he walked off the pitch, it's a bit then. It's a bit it's a bit iffy. That for me. I mean, not to take it away from Coventry, Woody should know better than to put a leg in that position. He should try and just body him off the ball and not commit to the challenge. Maybe even try and let Victor come out to him, and if he gets over Victor, then fair play. If Victor gets it, then fantastic save. But it's just in those situations, the player just feels the slightest amount of contact, he goes down. And like I've said, Coventry were claiming for those sort of things all night. They were going to get one eventually. They got it. And another thing, just to add insult to injury, Victor was so close to saving it with his feet. He was agonisingly close. I said he was going to go keeper's right, and he did, but down the centre, and Victor was so close. If his feet were just a bit next size up, he would have saved it. But yeah, it was a disappointment, because we were so close to getting all three on the road again. But looking back on it, Woody shouldn't really be putting a foot in there, because if the player feels contact, he goes down. And the referee didn't do himself any favours by, in terms of what Matt Taylor said, laughing in his face when he challenged him on his decision, which you shouldn't do as a professional, even in the refereeing business. And as a former player who is a referee, you shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, it's happened. We can't change it. It is what it is. And yeah, that's another referee that's got a black mark next to his name in our little book, isn't it, lads?
Not for me, mate. Not for that decision. What I would say is that again, when Tom Eaves comes on, he's ragged about from pillar to post, shirt pulled off his back, nothing given. And then the free kick that he awards at the edge of the box after the penalty, after the Coventry player elbows Woody in the face and then throws himself on top of him, and then he gives it against Woody. That was a remarkable decision.
But that came from a stoppage in play when we had the ball.
No,
he stopped the game.
We didn't.
We did.
We didn't.
Yes, we did.
The referee blew up for their player down in our box, or when Bramall went down.
No, I can't remember. I think it was their player.
Either way, the referee blew up, and then the ball was at that point when the referee blew his whistle. The ball was with the Coventry defender, who then booted it up into our half. When he blew his whistle, he put his hand up and told the Coventry player to stop with the ball at halfway between their box and halfway line. Ran off, and then he booted the ball. We didn't have the ball when he blew up. Sorry.
Not how I remember it.
Yeah,
at best, the ball was in mid-air.
I'm telling you, I remember thinking, well, why is it kick ball up there? Because if the referee doesn't right about it, he's going to get ball to us.
Well, I'm starting with Matt Taylor.
Can I just ask you guys a question, right? You know how you say if it was in mid-air when he blew his whistle, surely instead of the referee giving it back to one side or the other at the drop ball, he should just kick it up in the air and then let Jum just go with it. You know, balls in mid-air, blows his whistle, right, up in the air, off you go. Try and challenge for that.
I agree. I'd like to
write to the FA about that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with that one. The free kick decision was crazy at the end. But
yeah, it was.
I thought for the most part the referee had an okay game. I don't think he did anything wrong, but there's those couple of decisions at end which makes obviously disagrees. I thought it became a poor. It ended up being a poor performance, but there we go. Andrew Ballas says, "Evening. Does anybody else think we should have had a penalty early in the second half? I'm sure that Kelly was shoved into the back of the net.
Yeah,
possibly."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's an argument there. There was another incident where Connor Washington was swung round on the corner of the box by his shirt.
Yes, there was. Yeah.
Which again, and literally within yards of the lino, and nothing was given. There was a lot of that last night, and Tommy's just again. I don't know how he keeps his rag. I don't know how he keeps his temper. I don't honestly, because they just absolutely rip him apart, defenders. And he gets nothing from the referees, and that's the frustrating thing for me. You know, you compare the way Tom Eaves is treated, and then the same sort of behaviour by that Coventry attacker on Richard Wood generates a free kick for them on the edge of our box, and yet at the other end it's never ever given, and I don't really get that. I don't know whether the referee had just lost his by that point or what. I don't know, but.
I think he'd lost his head.
Yeah.
I do think he'd lost his head a little bit. John Morell says it's tough one. Saw the highlights. Wood gave the referee a decision to make, which is the main fault. Which I do agree. Woody gave the thought. However, you could tell O'Hare was compared to Grealish when he was with Villa Youth. Yeah, I was impressed with O'Hare. I obviously didn't play for very long, but I noticed when he played, I came on and made a couple of really nice passes. Anyway, but he's clearly a very influential player for them. What do you think of Coventry in general, Danny? I thought they were a little bit like Stoke in terms of their possession. I thought they looked after it okay, but their 2 goals essentially came from either 2 mistakes or a mistake and a refereeing decision, whichever way you want to look at it. But that's the only way they were going to score was us sort of helping them.
Yeah, I actually said that, to be fair. Our 2 conceding goals did come from our own mistakes. Like the first one was Harding's, but he made up for that later on with some strong challenges. And then the final one, the killing blow, if you like, was the penalty. But if you really watch how Coventry operate, and you can tell I was sober at this game because I actually noticed this. Coventry's like midfield 6 sort of moves as one unit around the pitch. It's like there's the attacking 3 and then the sitting 3, and they'll just sort of move across the pitch in unison with each other, which leaves them very vulnerable on the flanks. And we've exploited that in Bramall and Harding, and had a lot of luck on the flanks. It doesn't help that their pitch is very wide, at the CBS Arena, and that's why I say I think Matt Taylor got his tactics spot on, because he sort of played it more out wide and ran the channels and really took the game to him. He didn't let them dictate the play. We tried to dictate play against them, and like you say, mate, first 20 minutes we were electric against them, and then they sort of had their spell, and then later on the half we had our spell again, and then as things developed in the second half, it eventually finished 2-2. But yeah, we sort of took the game to them. It's almost as if we've looked at ourselves after the whole game and gone, right, we take the game to them this time. And that's exactly what we did for opening 20 minutes, because we looked very, very good. But as a whole, Coventry do have a lot of working out to do. I think they're safe for the home ground for this year, with the whole admin thing to do with
Possible. They sorted it out today.
I've heard that the company that owns their stadium is separate to WAS, so they're sort of doing their own thing, which should be all right for them. But if not, they've already got a backup operation with 6 fields in place already, just as like a backstop. So they should be able to carry on as they are. But yeah, it's a shame with that stadium, because I actually like that stadium. It's very, very loud. I think to give Coventry the view, I know a lot of their fans actually kicked off on social media about us finessing the life out of them, to use the PC wording of it. But overall, their fans were really, really loud.
We were loud last night, really loud.
Yeah, fair play to them in that regard. That corner that's near where the away fans are was really, really loud. Bit sparsely populated other end of the pitch, though, which they seem to have all their fans in one stand, which, again, big stadium, we can't have it all. But overall, vocally wise, very, very good. Very, very good from Coventry. Yeah, I personally, right, I'll put my cards out on the table for this one. I see them staying up this year.
Oh, yeah.
They've had a torrid start, but I think they'll stay up. They'll be similar position to us come end of season, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something. Their position is false, as always. The table doesn't lie. We mentioned last time 2 years ago that it's just not telling the full truth yet. Certainly with Coventry's games in hand, they'll be nowhere near relegation zone at end of season. With O'Hare back, that's going to massively help them. They're solid, aren't they? I felt like they were really solid. Let's talk about their first goal, Mick. A rare Wes error. And it was a really, really bad error when it was so many easy options, and he just tried to be a little bit too clever. And he's learnt his lesson. Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? You know, he's picked the ball up and started to come inside, and then decided to cut back to the outside straight into a Coventry shirt and lost the ball, and that's it. Bob's your uncle. So, we've gifted them both goals realistically. And without that mistake, it's a different game altogether, isn't it? The penalty might not have happened, our second goal might not have happened. They were on top for a period, but we defended reasonably solidly. It was a bit sort of backs to the walls at times, but we were able to keep possession a lot better than we did against.
It were backs to the wall, but at the same time, it was fairly comfortable. Victor weren't crazy busy, were he?
No, it wasn't. He pulled off a couple of decent saves, but he didn't actually, did he? He didn't really need to. In the main, everything was straight at him. So I'll be honest. I think we were unlucky. I think we were really unlucky last night, but I think we brought about our own demise, unfortunately. But there's some really, really promising signs. And I'm very, very positive that first 20 minutes. If we could play like that, if we play like that away from home every away game, we're going to surprise a lot of teams. It's certainly in the next few games, and it's a decent run of games to start surprising people, because it's a tough run. So I can't remember what you asked me now, but it's Wes, weren't it? Wes's mistake for that first goal. Yeah, disappointing from him, and I'm sure he'll be more disappointed than we are.
Oh yeah, big time. So, yeah. Let's put more positive news. Our points total, I was comparing it to the last few times in the Championship, and we're significantly better off now than we have been in the past. Last time we went down by a point or whatever it was. We're currently 9 points better off than we were last time. This at the same stage 2 years ago. 9 points is obviously that's obviously 3 wins. That's a significant increase over such a short space of time. If you want to compare it to the last time we were successful in terms of staying up, which was 2015-16, we are 13 points better off than we were at the same stage. Now, I know that last season was the great escape under Neil Warnock, but that just gives you an example of how far better the last time we had a similar start to this was again that 2002-2003 season, where we finished very, very comfortable. Yeah, I don't know, Danny. It's difficult to sort of say because I think we're 16 games in now, but the table should be starting to settle down after 10 to 15 games. Is this settled? Do you think this is where we are? Do you think there's still time for the table to correct itself? It's difficult to know because it still feels like it's too early to get excited about being okay.
Oh yeah, it's definitely too excited definitely too early to get excited about being okay. But like I said, this point in the season, the table does start to work itself out. Unless someone goes an absolutely exceptional run or an absolute horror show of a run, it's sort of just starting to show who's got the quality and who's lacking a little bit. And for us, like I said, without an absolutely horrific run, we could be in and around this position come end of the season. Not to count our chickens before they hatch or anything, but we do have that quality to really give teams a game and nick a result like at Stoke, for example, nick a result like that. It's not going to happen all the time, but if we get enough of those results and enough of a strong performance at home, yeah, why not this position? Definitely too early to tell, though. If someone, right, if come into the season we are anywhere near 11th or 12th, then we'll all look back on our predictions right now saying, oh, yeah, we could be like this come end of the season and go, wow, we were spot on there. We could end up finishing 18th for all we know, lads. But I think it all depends on January now. It all depends on January, and if we lose key players or if we even strengthen and keep key players, that'll determine how we end the season. Because like you've compared it to the Neil Warnock survival season and our last spells in the Championship, we are doing very, very well. And Matt Taylor implementing different tactics away from home than at the New York, and still tweaking. He's still tweaking. He almost seems like a little bit of a tweak merchant. If something doesn't work, he tweaks it a little bit and tries to get the best out of it. Sometimes it doesn't work, like what happened with Hull. Sometimes it does work, like what happened with Coventry, bar the penalty. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about this season, lads. It could go either way at this point. We could see ourselves borderline pushing upper end of mid-table. I'm not going to say the PO word yet, but it could also see us down the opposite end if it really doesn't work. Just exciting. We could be in for a very strong season this season, and hopefully we are.
Yeah, the concern is that there's teams down there that aren't going to go down there for much longer. West Brom at some point will pick up, whether that is March. West Brom are not going to go down. Middlesbrough are almost certainly not going to go down. They've just appointed Michael Carrick as manager. Stoke are probably not going to be down there. Hull are probably not going to end up down there. So there's spaces to Coventry at bottom 3 at the minute. I can't see Coventry being anywhere near bottom 3 either, Mick. So, but again, there's 16 games in, except Coventry's 14. So, are we just saying, am I just looking at the name saying West Brom and thinking, they're too good to go down? Or do you think it'll just correct itself?
I think there's probably any one of 22 teams that could end up in playoffs, and there's any one of 22 teams could go down. The way the Championship is at the moment, this season particularly, you just can't predict anything. You just can't. So from our point of view, all we can do is concentrate on our own little world, which is obviously what Matt Taylor and his team will be doing, and continue to improve. We're as strong. This team is already as strong as any other side that we've had whilst during this sort of yo-yo years, if you like. and it's nowhere near reached its potential. But the signs are there that Matt Taylor is starting to bring it together a little bit and exploit the strengths of the team, and obviously trying to shore up all the weaknesses. So it's the signs are really, really positive for me at the moment. Really positive. But like Danny said, all it needs is a horror run of 6 defeats, and you're down scrambling, and everything kind of changes. So, but on the flip side of that, 3 or 4 wins puts you within touching distance of that top 6. It's bizarre, but anybody can do it, and it's going to be another roller coaster, isn't it?
Yeah, never boring, which is what we wanted. I want boring. I want boring 18th for once.
You don't.
John Morell says hard to compare as there's a low tide up top at the minute. Usually means it's going to be 50 plus to survive.
Yeah,
possibly. Phil Oxley asks, do we think the impact of the new coach had a positive effect yesterday? You can only assume it does, Danny. I mean, it's one of those that we'll obviously never know, but it's always good to have an extra mind in there. It's not, we've not got 15 voices, you know what I mean? It's a third voice in there, which is really important, experienced voice. And so Matt Taylor can trust, and he needs as many of them as he can get, really, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, especially at the whole game, we were missing that sort of... Does this count for a quid if I say MH's name? Or is it only PW?
No, you can have Hamshaw. Yeah, that's fine.
Good, right, okay. We needed that sort of Matt Hamshaw voice, in the ear of the fourth official, and still talking to the linesman or whoever it is. And we didn't really have that. Taylor certainly made his voice known against Hull, but nowhere near what Hamshaw did. And I think the new guy coming in will certainly add that extra voice on the touchline. You've got Taylor as assistant, and now the first team coach, all getting instructions across, all working as like a little cognitive machine in how the team can improve. And his record speaks for itself. He has played a lot of different styles of football in a few countries, both in Europe and further afield. And yeah, it could be a very, very fine addition. I do feel a little bit bad for Exeter now that we've pitchful their manager, assistant, and first team coach. But then again, the one who shall not be named did that to us. So unfortunately, that's just swings and roundabouts in football.
It didn't do them too badly last night, did they? They managed to go to Derby and grab a 0-0 draw.
That's a great point for Exeter, isn't it? That's a great point.
Can I just say, I passed on some secret information to my friend, the Exeter fan, who then passed it on to their temporary manager or permanent manager or whatever he is, saying, right, wait until he brings the extra defender on and then go off and hit them. Like, hold out and then go and hit them after the defender comes on. And from what he's told me, that's exactly what they did at Pride Park. So happy days.
Brilliant. Nicholas Skidmore talks about who's going to be down there. This is a very valid, interesting point. In fact, Wigan haven't paid their players. So there may be a point because they don't sort the stuff out, which isn't nice, but good take as a place. Yeah, Wigan, I've reported for the third time in I can't remember how many months, but certainly the third time since the end of last season, not paid their players on time. Now they're claiming that it's a banking issue again. Yeah, I'm not going to go into somebody else's, another club's finances and stuff because I know how sensitive people can get about it. But that's a big, massive, giant red flag to me if it's the third time. We saw it Wednesday, didn't we, Mick? We saw it Wednesday, and that turned out to be true. It turned out to some issues with chance theory. Once is understandable. For to be 2 and 3 times then becomes you waving the flag. I'm waving the red flag.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sure that lad who chose Wigan over us will be really, really happy when he hasn't been paid for 3 months.
Well, knowing how much they're paying him as well.
Precisely. Which probably gives you an indication as to why they haven't been paid for 3 months, because they've been overpaid. Significantly overpaid. So no sympathy. I have sympathy for Wigan supporters, 100%.
What they've already been through and all.
What they've been through and everything. Don't get me wrong, I have got masses of sympathy for the supporters of the club, 100%. For the club itself, if that's how you're going to run it, you get what you deserve, and that will be selling the club and possibly administration or whatever else comes with that. If it continues down the route that these sorts of scenarios generally go down, we don't know.
We don't know. There are stricter regulations now from the EFL about payment lates and things such as that. So, as John Morrell points out, they are getting paid. It's just late, but everybody agrees it sounds like a rocky road. It's strange. If I'm a Wigan fan, I'm generally getting concerned that there's issues, but we don't know enough information. It's just from us, it is something to keep an eye on because they get a point of deduction that affects us. Obviously, they may not. They probably won't. Hopefully, they don't. To be honest with you, we'll see.
Yeah, it's important. It's important for all the clubs in the Championship that to understand that. If these things are happening and the impact is likely to have on them, and like John says there, it is a rocky road potentially. And these things, you hear these rumours, and 9 times out of 10 they end up there's some truth in them. If they're not like, we're buying this player or that player's signing or this player's leaving. They're not like those rumours. These tend to be based on the truth, if not actually true themselves.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Good luck.
Yeah.
Richard Brown back on the Millers says, we haven't lost 2 on the trot, have we yet? No, we haven't. That is very, very true. And that's a really, really important thing, Danny. Mick mentioned it on the last episode that it was important we get back on the horse, just get point on board. If you lose 1 and then you lose 2 and then 2 becomes 3 and it can build and build. And if you lose 4 in a row, what's the point really? If you lose 1 and then pick up a point, it just shows you've got a bit of character about you. And I think that's a really important point that Richard brings up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it is. Not losing 2 in a row at this point in the season is very big because it shows we are a reaction-based team, certainly to losses. And I think our reaction to the Hull defeat is very, very strong in terms of how we played. Again, just a shame the last-minute penalty didn't give us 3 and gave us 1 instead. But I think that's the one thing that, it was one of multiple things last time in the Championship that really killed us off was just losing too many games in a row, should I say, and a lot of 1-0s being in there. I think it is just very, very good that we've gone right. We've lost that game. How do we respond? We've responded to it and then cracked on from there. And if we keep doing that throughout the season, we will just keep picking up steadily picking up points. And I think I saw a tweet last night saying if we maintain our points per game ratio as it is right now, we will be A-OK this season. But the important thing is having the tactics and the knowledge and the application to react to those losses to maintain that points average.
Yeah, the points average at the minute would end up on 63 points, which would be dead comfortable.
Yeah.
But let's see how that goes. Moving on, anything else you want to talk about from the Coventry game before we move out of a quick preview of Cardiff? Too many C's.
There was something, but I can't remember what it was now, so I don't even know why I'm speaking at the moment. There's no need for any noise to be coming out of my mouth because it's pointless because I'm not actually saying it, so sorry about that.
Okay. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, no problem. If you need anybody to ramble on anymore, just let me know.
Yeah, we don't need to fill time on here. It's not like television where you got to fill something in. It's just get on with it. One sort of crossing point is Grant Hall picked up his 5th booking in 6 games. He didn't get any bookings until last
his shirt.
Yeah. So Grant Hall is now suspended. This is verified, not like our Rothman one. Grant Hall is suspended for Saturday, which Matt Taylor suggested it was maybe a blessing in disguise. Bear in mind, he had some tight calves apparently. So that's something to tick off. Grant Hall, he may be there in Cardiff, but he won't be playing on Saturday. Start with the breakdown of the referee. The referee is Oliver Langford.
Oh God, not Oliver again.
You're kidding me, aren't you?
He refereed us twice already. This will be the 3rd time already in 17 games. He refereed the Blackburn loss, the 3-0 Blackburn loss, And I'm going to have to check this now because I've lost my notes as to when he refereed us before this season. He also refereed us the 0-0 away at Preston. So
it's a bit miss them 2 games as a comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, he's one of those names that it comes up a lot, and I struggle to find some poor decisions. What I will say is we only have 1 victory whilst he's refereed us in the Championship, and that came back in 2015. So it's not like Gavin Ward where we win every time he refs us. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Mr. Langford. No wins for us at the new stadium, Cardiff City Stadium, I think it's called now. The last win in Cardiff was 1998. And we've only got 1 win in 11 in all competitions, both home and away. Daniel, let's talk about us before we move on to talk about them a bit more. What do you think? We know Grant Hall's not going to play. We know Chio could make the bench. I don't think he will, but he could. Rathbone will be available. I don't have the prognosis on Bramall yet, so we don't know if he's going to be available. With all that in, Richard Wood back in your starting 11 to start with?
Yeah, I mean, him and Grant Hall are as near enough to like for like as you can get into like old head centre halves. So yeah, I think that's more or less going to be a straight swap. Maybe laugh, studio audience laugh, but yeah, can I just say that Cardiff Stadium is very creative. The Cardiff City Stadium, that's very creative from them. It's like calling the capital of Mexico City, isn't it? But yeah, I've not seen us win in my entire life against Coventry. If it's 1998, I am heading down, which should be a very fun 6:00 start for me. Coventry, I say Coventry. You said Coventry. Cardiff. Like I say, there's too many C's, so it's Cardiff. Whoops. It'll be a nice early 6:00 start, heading down to Cardiff. Thank you. And hopefully is Richard Wood at the back that is our wrecking ball and just keep Coventry. I nearly said it again. Oh dear. Oh dear. That keeps Cardiff at bay. There we go. You enjoying yourselves behind my laptop? Oh dear.
Brilliant. Mick, Peltier and Humphreys with the 2 starters alongside Hall. Peltier may not be able to play, with the Richard Wood type thing, too many games, short space of time. I thought Cameron Humphreys had a really good game on Tuesday again. So I'd love to see him start again.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. This is the ideal opportunity for him to play our best back 3 of Humphreys, Woody, and Wes, without a doubt. And I've called Bramall, assuming he's recovered from his cramp, which I'm sure he will have, and Brooke Norton-Cuffy on the right. So that is for me, our strongest defence at the moment, our strongest back 5. And it gives us a lot of pace out wide. It gives us the pace of Cam Humphreys in the middle to assist Woody against a team that are struggling. A team that are struggling on low on confidence. So that would, for me, would be absolutely the back 5. It's an ideal opportunity to play that centre 3 for me.
Yeah, you mentioned Cardiff. They're in a really bad run of form. They've lost 8 games of 8 of their 15.
Are you sure it's Cardiff, Matt, and not Coventry?
Not certain. They have lost their last 3. They lost to Coventry, QPR, and Swansea. Now they are 3 teams that are coming into form, I suppose. But it's a great time to play a team. If you want to play a team, you want to play them after they've lost 3 in a row, having not scored in any of those 3 games. That's a really, really good time to play them. I don't think they've got a manager yet either. I think they're still under caretaker. Or has Mark Hudson been confirmed? I'll double check that.
I think last I heard today, I read or saw somewhere that they're still managerless at the moment. So it's
Mark Hudson he's interim, so it'd be one of them that could just last for a while. Yeah, still technically managerless. John Rell points to that without Robinson as well. For them, they're toothless up top. However, they just lost to Swansea. They'll want to put that right in front of their fans. Tough game. Yeah, Callum Robinson got sent off for an idiotic moment in the South Wales derby, which is a bonus because he is a very good player.
Yeah.
Callum Robinson.
We owe Cardiff anyway. We owe them one. We owe them.
We do owe them one. You're right.
100% we owe them for sending us down last time. So I'll put the final nail in the coffin when there was no need to. So
when there was no need to.
Well, it wasn't unnecessary. It didn't affect them. You know what I mean? They could have anyway. They could have capitulated and just left us to it.
Who cares about sport and integrity, Cardiff? Why don't you just let us stay up?
Exactly.
Yeah. There's no other names that really stand out from the Cardiff team, which is not it doesn't always matter, to be honest with you. Romain Sawyer's pot stands out, but not many others. Let's talk about the midfield, Danny. This is where it starts to become a conversation because Hakeem Adofin started on Wednesday. Did okay, nothing spectacular. Dambala was obviously sensational. Ben Wiles, other than the first 10 minutes, was pretty anonymous again. Where you feel Al Rathbone will likely be fit. Jimmy Lindsay will be fit. What do you want to see from that midfield three?
I would like to see how Rathbone and Adofin operate in that midfield because, like you say, Wiles has been quite anonymous in that midfield, except for the opening 10 minutes. And it's not really a midfield combination that we've seen before. But even if Taylor decides to bring Adofin out, you've still got Lindsay there as well. And Adofin is still a solid defensive midfielder backup, but hopefully not making the same mistakes as he did against Wigan. But so far, he's proved that he's not quite as cohesive on the ball as our starting midfielders are, but still does the job there well enough. But I think my starting midfield would have to be Lindsay, Barlasser and Rathbone. Just give Wiles that little spell on the bench just to recompose himself and reassess where he stands in a sense as well. But yeah, you've got Barlasser with the distribution, Lindsay being your quote-unquote strong man in the midfield who'll go in for any challenge, and then Rathbone who just runs everywhere. Could be a lethal combination against a team like Cardiff that we've seen got really stretched with pace by Swansea in the Wales derby. Maybe we could do the same. In the Championship, it's the Wales derby because only two teams in Wales. Behave you. Getting
heckled.
Yeah, I'm being heckled from the audience. Behave you. I could say things about you, but I'm not going to on live on camera. Anyway, if we can apply the same formula that Swansea applied and stretch the game for Cardiff, we can. I'm just going to stop myself mid-sentence because I've got I've got hyenas in this room, mate. I'm just going to mute my microphone and just carry it. Right, you lads can do it on your own.
Okay. Power UK agrees with Dan Mick, Lindsay, Barlass and Rathbone. That's a three I think most Rotherham fans want to see. And they're quite excited to see how that works. You got Lindsay Rathbone doing all the running, and we know that they're going to do the running. Wiles has not been doing that running recently. There's no question that Lindsay and Rathbone will do that. And then Barlass will just be Barlasser. What are your thoughts on Wiles? Did you think it was just same old on Tuesday?
It's not getting him on the ball, and when we do get him on the ball, his touch is letting him down. The more I see him, particularly on Tuesday, I'm beginning to think he's more just out of touch, out of form issue rather than anything else. Because he just couldn't. Oh, stop it! Siri's talking to me now.
You're getting heckled and all.
I'm getting heckled by Siri off my watch. Yeah, on my watch. I don't know. I will. Yeah, I think it's time he had a bit of a rest. I guess I feel that the manager's probably thinking he's going to play himself back into form.
Yeah. He's good enough to.
Yeah, there were flashes of it the other night. So
that run in first half where he took it right to byline were brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is an argument to say that Is he coming back into? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's one of those. It's a Ben situation, isn't it? We don't see him in training, so we don't really know. But certainly when we see him on the pitch, he's just out of touch. He's out of nick. But it will come back, and when it does, with him and Barlas performing the way he is in midfield, if you got those two at the top of your game, at the top of their game, that midfield will be unbelievable with either Rathbone or Lindsay in there. So I don't know on that one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Bear in mind, we've got Burnley coming up next week as well, which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That will be interesting to see him play in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got, like we've mentioned, there's 4 more games for the World Cup. Cardiff, Burnley. Or is it 5? No, 5, isn't it? Cardiff, Burnley, Norwich, Sheffield United, Luton, which is a hell of a running. But like you said, it's time to start surprising people further than we already are. Yeah,
I mean, we know what we're going to get from each of those games, don't we? Burnley are going to just pass it around as much as Swansea did. Norwich are going to throw themselves on floor at every available opportunity and scream like babies. Sheffield United are going to be tough.
They've dropped a cliff, haven't they?
They have at the moment, but it's a local derby, so all bets are off in that respect, aren't they? So it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. But this team are up for it. They're up for the fight. They're up for the battle. So I'm glad the Norwich game is at home, to be honest, because at least it gives us the opportunity to vent some frustration and anger on their cheating behaviour, which will undoubtedly happen.
Yeah, I heard somebody. I can't believe they played last week before Sheffield United game. I've seen people complained about it.
Yeah, I was speaking to a Sheffield United supporter at work today, and she was saying that we're just embarrassing. So yeah, we can expect that, can't we? Yes. But we'll see.
We will see. Let's go some predictions and then leave. Mick.
Right, fair enough. See ya.
What's score prediction for Saturday?
Clean sheet for us on Saturday. Victor's going to get back to his clean sheet. So I'm going 2-0 Millers. I'm going 2-0. I think that we'll perform very similarly to the way that we did the other night. But I'm hopeful that we'll cut out those mistakes at the back. And if we start the way we started on Tuesday, on Saturday against Cardiff, then in the run of form that they're in and the confidence levels that they're at, they should be there for the taking. Should be.
Yeah. Until they play this in dressing room, when they
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then obviously we'll get what I deserve.
Danny, what do you reckon was your prediction for Saturday?
Prediction for Saturday, I will say, if we can stretch Cardiff like we did, like Swansea did against them, I'd say we'd win. Probably just sneak it 1-0, as we know how Taylor's tactics to be. But in terms of quality teams and Cardiff being able to stretch us, I don't know, I'll be happy with 0-0. I'm going to say 0-0.
It's gone 0-0. I'm glad you've done that. I'm going to go 1-0. I'm glad you changed that. It'll be a very close game. We will finish by Paul Brock's comment. We haven't mentioned who we think is going to start up top. We haven't. Danny, who's going to start up top?
Che will be on the bench potentially if he's fit enough. If he's fit enough, anyway. If not, Washington and Eves. I honestly think it'll be Washington and Eves. I really do.
Surprise me. Yeah.
I don't know. I just have a feeling it will be.
Same.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think Kelly deserves another start. To be honest,
I thought it was a good game. I thought it was a really good game.
He had a very, very good game. He was unlucky not to score in that first few minutes when the drag back just evaded him, and also when he ended up in back at net. I think he got one eye on post. I think he got one eye on goal post at that point, Antti. So, but having said that, when Eves came on again, I think he did really well. The issue we've got for him and that he's got is like I said earlier on, he's getting no space at all. He's just having his shirt shorts and anything else ragged off him. And I tell you now, Oliver Langford will not give him anything.
Agreed. Very much agreed. A few predictions in the comments. Nicholas Skimmo says 1-0. Jamie 2-0. Steve Grundy says 1-1. Powmed UK says 2-1. John Siege says a clean sheet, please, which we would take. Yeah. John Morell says it'll be a tough game. He thinks 1-1. Take the point and run. Kim Hayward says 1-0. Damien Coward says 2-1. DV Reality agrees with me. Never a pen. Thank you very much, DV. Once again, Mick talking rubbish.
Yeah.
He also says 2-1 to the Millers as well. Paul Brock thinks it'll be Kelly and Wash to start, which we would all be happy with, to be honest with you. I can see what Mick's saying about Eves and Danny saying about Eves, but I would like to see Kelly give him another go. Give him a run. See if he needs to play minutes, doesn't he? He needs to play minutes, and I feel like playing against Cardiff would suit Kelly better than playing against somebody a streetwise team in Burnley. That might be better for Eves to play that game, maybe. I don't know. Might be reading too much into it. Burn Jones says 3-0 to the Millers as his prediction. Any other things, talking points you want to mention before we go and chill out for a little bit?
I think we've managed a full podcast without mentioning the war, so which is good. And nobody within the comments has mentioned it either. So we might.
Nobody in the live studio audience wants to mention the war.
Which one? World War II?
The one that ends in NE.
Oh, Vietnam. EW. EW.
No, they don't know what I'm on about. Carry on.
So
Yeah.
We've got Benny.
We'll tweet out about that as well. So if you do feel generous and you want to donate to it as well, feel when you can to hospice.
No, because I don't want any money.
If you want to double one of your mates in for saying it too much,
yeah, absolutely.
Get them to donate as well. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. We will be back on maybe Sunday. We'll see. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done already. Danny, is the vlog? No vlog this time because you're enjoying your holiday. That's fine.
I will do a vlog before Saturday for sure.
There we go. Yeah, perfect. We subscribe if you haven't already, and then we will be back on Sunday. Please subscribe on audio, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you normally listen. If you do so, make sure you've subscribed to there as well. Mick, it's been a pleasure. See you in Cardiff.
Thank you very much.
Danny, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
I will. I'm going to batter this lot with a teaspoon if they carry on. But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you very much.
I'm going to rewatch that one.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got around the back, and Richie Wood has done it.